Today we're going to be talking about the potential path for the presidency for Donald John Trump for him to still win using the current map as it may be looking like, pretty bleak for the president. In such cases where the state of Alaska is not even called, North Carolina is not called. But let's break down what's going on in the election so far, okay? And anyways, let's pause real quick. Okay, now we are with the New York Times live map. Presidential election fake news results. Biden wins. Now, let's go into the states. As you can see, a lot of the safe states are where they are. They have called Nebraska second for Joe Biden. Unfortunately, one that I believe would have gone to Donald Trump, but that's the way it is. So as you can see right now, I'm filling it in, and so far things are looking kind of tight for the president in terms of his odds, but as you can see, he's still holding on to a vague firewall at the very least. And also, Joe Biden seems poised to win, and in fact, he's already won the election if you go by the fake news media. So that's what's going on. Iowa has been called for Donald Trump at the very least, so that's not going anywhere. At large is going Biden, as well as the first, but the second district does go to Donald Trump, I believe. And as of right now, we have the states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. All these are hold on. They've basically called these states for Sleepy Joe. Okay, these states, and have left it like this. And I think that's morally corrupt. But let's look over here. In terms of the state of Nevada, this state seems to be a 2.4 win for Joe Biden. But here's the problem. 96% is still reporting. And as you can see, there's some from Clark, but there's also some from all these other places. Pershing, Churchill County, all these Trump-friendly areas. So I predict that that margin may narrow a little bit. But also, let's keep in mind that there's been 9,000 fraudulent votes so far from accused by the Republicans on the Democrats, and that's just not, and that's without the audit, the recount. So I assume there's probably like 30,000 fake news votes, but we'll have to see. At the end of the day, even with the full audit, I believe Joe Biden will very narrowly win the state of Nevada. So there it goes right there. In terms of the state of Minnesota is completely gone, and it was rigged to an extent, but I still think Joe Biden did win the state, unfortunately. We move on to the state also of New Hampshire. New Hampshire is completely gone. Also, you go on to Ohio. Trump wins it safe, as well as Texas. He wins it completely in the bag. In terms of North Carolina has 98% reporting, with Trump leading by 1.4%, and that would be equivalent to about 75,000 votes ahead of Joe Biden. What does this mean? It basically goes to show that Joe Biden's pretty screwed. 98% reporting. It's virtually impossible for him to win at this point, but they don't call it for Donald Trump because they're evil. So let's go on and give Donald Trump the state of North Carolina. And now we have Georgia. Georgia is pretty much completely in, with Joe Biden ahead of Donald Trump by 0.21%, which is 10,000 votes. Now, does this make sense? No. In fact, Joe Biden was leading Donald Trump by, I believe, 2,000 votes a couple days ago, with only 9,000 military ballots would have broken for Trump. So, in all honesty, Trump, even with the rigging, should have won by a couple thousand votes in Georgia. But see, the problem is that they're going to have a full audit and recanvassing in Georgia as promised by, I believe, Brian Kemp or the Secretary of State of Georgia. So that's going to be good. Also, there's been apparently in Fulton County about 80,000 ballots that are in question. So that's looking bad for Joe Biden, as well as there was a water leak in this area, which basically let them stuff more ballots. In the meantime, for the hours that the what would you say? The poll watchers were out. So apparently, yes, Joe Biden has rigged the state, and it seems like it's going Trump. So we'll put it there. As of right now, it's extremely close, but let's move on to another state such as Arizona. Now, Arizona has been, all of a sudden, one of the most important states in this election. A lot of people did not see it coming. As you can see, Joe Biden is leading Donald Trump by less than 0.6%. In fact, it's 0.59% of a difference, I believe, in favor of Joe Biden, which is approximately 20,000 votes, or like 19,000 and change for Joe Biden. Now, there's 97% reporting. The rest of the 3% apparently does favor Donald Trump. Donald Trump does need to secure anywhere from 56 to 59-ish% of the remaining vote to tie and win in Arizona. But the problem is, though, is that it's guaranteed virtually for Donald Trump to get an automatic recount in the state of Arizona, as well as Donald Trump is doing what he needs to do to win the election so far. We do have remaining votes coming from Republican counties here in Cochise, Yuma a little bit, La Paz, very little Pinal, other places that are very important. So I do think that we are on track of winning so far. As you can see, there's some key votes left from Maricopa, and these are important to keep in our column. So far, so good. It seems like the Hispanics are saving Donald Trump against the white liberal suburbanites that are trying to flip the state. Also, there's Sharpiegate, there's an audit and a recount, which will show a little bit of fraud, and the very little bit of fraud is going to put Donald Trump over the top, okay? So I have Arizona's going for Trump right now, so that's 256 to 279. All Trump needs to do is flip a state. Now, let's just give Alaska to Donald Trump. As you can see over on the map here, 56% reporting. Trump is leading by about 30%. So much for people sleeping on Alaska. But so far, so good in Alaska. I predict Trump's going to win by 13, 15. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's an important state. As you can see, Joe Biden is leading Donald Trump by 0.62%, which is outside of the margin for a recount automatic. So Trump will have to pay $3 million apparently to start a recount, but that's definitely worth it, and he's not poor, so he can definitely get this done. As of right now, it seems like virtually everything is reported in the state, even though there was some malfeasance in the Green Bay, Brown County area, and obviously rigging in Wisconsin. As you can see, the WOW counties overperformed for Joe Biden in terms of turnout versus Milwaukee, which goes to show that they were rigging more so the suburbs than the cities, honestly. So that's interesting to keep track of. But as of right now, it seems to me that with a recount and with Joe Biden only leading by 20.5 thousand votes, that with the fraud that they're going to find, Trump will win the state, and I'll tell you why. Jill Stein in 2016 did a partial recanvassing of the state and found tens of thousands of votes in both Michigan and Wisconsin, I believe, that went to Hillary Clinton that either should have gone to Donald Trump or should have been thrown away. Therefore, I do think Wisconsin will show, if not hundreds of thousands of votes that are fishy, which I believe is true, over 100,000 fishy votes. I believe there's going to be several thousand, and those couple tens of thousands will put Trump in the lead in Wisconsin. Now, what would happen if this is the case? Donald Trump would be tied, and so would be Joe Biden. Now, the thing is about this is that if it's tied, Donald Trump will be able to win because he controls he's retained every single state legislature that was Republican, as well as flipping the one in New Hampshire. So far, that New Hampshire one gives us an extra advantage so that if we ever were to go to the 269 tie, we would win that result. Now, if we move on to another state such as Michigan has a Biden lead of 2.6%, or approximately, I would say, 148,000 votes. So that does look pretty bleak, and you would have to provide a ton of fraudulent votes, which I believe are there almost. Now, Wayne County does have several thousand dead registered voters, which are undoubtedly voting for Sleepy Joe, as well as we have a lot of other places that are highly suspicious, and as well as, for example, Muskegon was for Trump, and then it wasn't. Saginaw was looking good until it wasn't. So there's been a ton of rigging so far, and y'all can say cope, but screw you guys. There's definitely a lot of election fraud. Anyways, Trump has underperformed slightly, I believe, in particular, what was it, Oakland County, as well as another one. But I'm not a nerd, so I would not know. Anyways, the point is that with a recount and an audit, I do not think that Michigan will flip, so I will leave it as a Biden state. So it would go down then to Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania is interesting. Pennsylvania has a Biden lead of 0.64%, which is a little bit outside of the, just slightly out of the automatic recount. But again, Trump wants to pay, he will pay. And honestly, there's been a ton of rigging over here, and we all hate riggers. So I think that, for example, in Pittsburgh, Allegheny, all of a sudden, Joe Biden was underperforming also in Philadelphia County. But all of a sudden, they're finding all sorts of new votes that are disproportionately breaking for Sleepy Joe, and does not make sense to me at all. You look at a county like Bucks. Bucks is not looking good for Trump, of course, and he is losing in Montgomery. But I have heard that they were, instead of necessarily cheating in the cities, they're cheating in the places around the city, so you won't look, which includes WOW, and the WOW counties, and it would also include Montgomery, Bucks, and Chester, stuff like that. Also, Lake Erie was stolen from Trump. Richard Barris has pretty much confirmed it as well. Lackawanna was looking great for Trump on election night, and then it swayed like 25, 30 points for Joe Biden, which does not make sense. So I do think that the lead of votes, which is for Biden 43,000. Okay, so Joe Biden has a lead in Pennsylvania, 43,000. I do think that there will be tens of thousands of votes thrown away, which will lead to Trump barely eking it out, number one. And then number two, assuming, and here's the Hail Mary is the Supreme Court will decide that all of the votes that were counted for Joe Biden that were made after November 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern get thrown away. If that were to happen, then Trump easily wins this by hundreds of thousands of votes here in Pennsylvania. But I don't know. As of right now, I do have Pennsylvania going for Trump. Okay, so this is the breakdown of the map. This is Trump's path to victory. Trump needs to win Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Arizona. Okay, these are absolutely quintessential. Also, in a Hail Mary, I guess these states could go to Donald Trump, but I doubt it. So I would have Michigan and Nevada go for Sleepy Joe. But either way you slice this, Sloppy Joe will basically have a very weak mandate if he were to win, which I don't believe he will. And I do give Donald Trump's odds of winning the election by 55%. And by winning the election, I will clarify and say that it will mean that he will stay president for another term, okay? This doesn't necessarily mean that he will win through the electoral college system as has happened before. Maybe it's through some sort of court fiat or court order or something along those lines. But I do think because he does have the Supreme Court on his side as well as other factors, I do believe that he will be able to eke it out anyway. So liberals, enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy the president-elect Sleepy Joe as your guy for the next couple days. And we'll see if Trump turns it around. I really hope he does. And I do think Donald Trump does have a solid chance. And in order to have a good chance, he needs to win Arizona or win the recount, win Georgia or win the recount, and then not only the recount, but auditing and canvassing, using the court or running the clock. Remember, guys, if Donald Trump stalls and keeps suing until after the electors have to vote, then he basically wins by default, and that's a complicated constitutional, like, old law from the 1800s. But the option's there. Joe Biden needs to somehow convincingly win by next month, or he's screwed. So, anyways, guys, let's hope Donald Trump wins. MAGA hat stays on. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe, and goodbye.